Hi, I'm Yash from Strip Finance. This is 26 questions with Yash.
Hi Yash, thank you so much for fitting our 26 questions interview into your busy schedule.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Cool, let's do this. What's the most ambitious goal of your project? What is the ultimate vision of your project?
So, as Strip Finance, what we're building is the financial layer for NFTs, wherein we want to enable collateralization for them. And I think the most ambitious thing that we're undertaking is the pool mechanism that we are introducing into collateralization. So that is in essence bridging the DeFi mechanics into NFT.
Can you briefly describe your team members and in one or two sentences, can you introduce what your project does?
Sure. So Strip Finance is NFT lending and borrowing platform. So about the team, Varun Satyam, the co-founder CPO, was working with Anchor. He's a completely UI UX person, worked with Bitfinex, ColdStack, Chia Network, etc. Yuvraj, the CMO, co-founder, he was also working with Anchor, handling their community, etc. Also worked with BitThumb, the exchange, and then with ColdStack, etc. and Prometheus Labs. So I'm Yash. I've been into the crypto space for the past 4 years. Again, I've been running a company by the name BitLumix, helping projects with their marketing, PR, etc.
Many new projects make a good impression at first, but are suddenly abandoned. My question, how will you manage the project and the token to gain a position in the market and become the best token in the blockchain world?
So a project can enhance the token value by liquidity, utility, and enhancing the value proposition it has in the ecosystem. So we always want to be transparent, prioritizing the community, be open about our developments, what we are doing. So we're also launching a liquidity mining option to invite liquidity providers to engage more people for demand, like all the fee on the Strip platform will be paid in the native token. So this will help, bring more utility value to the token, as well as the token will be used to maintain leverage in case of the financial NFTs that we're introducing on the platform. So this all creates a lot of demand and need for the token. And also the market cap that we are launching with is quite low, which is great for the overall potential for the project, and that we can bring in more value for the investors and the community alike.
Many projects are just projects that make deceptive promises created by cloning existing ones and are similar to existing ones. Do you have features that are unique to you, that you have developed and that makes you special?
Sure. So NFT industry in itself is in a very nascent stage, and to talk about collateralization, there are very few products because that is no different. And we have just 2 to 3 competitors to speak of, and the approach that we are taking is considerably different. So one of our competitors, they focus just only on the Ethereum ecosystem, and now what we are building is a cross-chain solution. So other upcoming solutions are also probably EVM chain compatible. But the asset class focus is quite different. So the possibility of cloning doesn't exist over there. So we are creating pool lending solution, as I said, in addition to the P2P marketplaces that exist right now. So under pool lending, lenders can commit liquidity to a pool, and the installments paid by the borrowers would be equally distributed to the lenders of the pool. So in case of liquidation, the amount pledged, and we'll be also introducing underwriters over there. So the case of a liquidation, the amount pledged by the underwriters will be distributed back to the pool, and the NFT will be transferred to the underwriters. So this will all create a very sound ecosystem when it comes to the collateralizations there. Yeah.
The crypto industry is a fast-paced industry, so how flexible is your project to change quickly and keep pace with technology trends?
So we are quite flexible in our approach, but our mission will always be the same, to bring in liquidity in the NFT and DeFi markets. So that is going to be unchanged. Whatever we do, our underlying idea would always be to enhance liquidity. And when we started, we wanted to only build for the BSC ecosystem, but we realized there's some great assets on Ethereum. And then we saw the development of Solana and more projects coming on top of it. So we edited and we added a few things in our roadmap to make it a cross-chain and enable more solutions, more chains. So yeah, we are very, I'd say, accommodative in our approach towards new technologies and other things.
In your documents, I read that users can access the Strip protocol ecosystem by customizing strike price, option size, and expiry date. Is the process easy for users to customize all of these features themselves? Once it's customized, how can we access the Strip ecosystem?
So basically, the things that you have mentioned, these are components of the bidding process. Whenever the lender puts the bid for the asset or the price they want to pay for the collateralization, so these are some fields which the lender proposes, and the borrower has an option either to accept or reject them. So it's quite easy and intuitive for the end user as well, and for the borrower, they always have an option when there's too much, when they have these parameters, they can take a better decision if they want to go ahead with the collateralization of that asset or not.
Will NFT owners be given loans according to the value of their assets? How does Street value users' assets? Also, what if the lender does value the NFT as equivalent to the money he loaned out? What happens when the borrower is not able to pay back?
So I think it is very difficult to calculate NFT's price accurately at the moment because of the limited data. This is the most challenging problem the NFT industry faces right now, because this is, it's a very complex task to identify the actual price, the fair price, as each NFT will have a different price from the next, and different people will be willing to pay different amounts of the same piece. The one thing to consider is that NFTs can also increase in value. The industry is fresh and rapidly moving. So sometimes NFT from an early investor in the price skyrockets and expands and matures. So with the present technology available and possibilities ready in the market, we have tried to solve this in two possible ways. So one of them is we let the lenders decide the fair value. So in this, in one way of determining value is, rather than deciding what the price should be, we leave it to the experts of demand and supply, that is the lender. So the lender decides the fair value by deciding the amount they want to give for borrowing. And the platform will provide data. We as a platform will provide data the past score, the past sales history, the artist history, etc., which will be fetching from these marketplaces and will help the lender take a better decision. But in this kind of scenario, the borrowers won't have a choice to negotiate. They'll have to just accept or reject the offer, and also there'll be a time limit in which they can either accept or reject, or the next bid will come through. And also we are also using in the pool, we are using these underwriters. Underwriters are basically NFT studios and big collectors and DAOs which have the mandate to buy NFTs or invest into NFTs in different NFT platforms. So we're inviting NFT funds and studios who'd like to underwrite these NFTs on our platform. These funds and studios would either earn interest on the lent money, or if the amount is paid back on time, and in case of a default, they would take possession of the asset, which is usually capped at an LTV of 40 to 50%, the loan to value ratio. So this brings a lot of fairness to the NFT price discovery, and as well as these studios and NFT collectors have a lot of experience in the market. So this will help us, arrive at a better price always. So again, and also you asked what would happen in case of a default. So in this case, the lender takes possession of the asset as the borrower has defaulted. So going forward, we also plan to introduce fractalization of assets, wherein the borrower would be able to claim a fraction of the assets they have paid the loan for. So the ratio of the asset fraction would be settled in ratio in proportion of the LTV and what they have paid in terms of installments.
Due to the ever-growing transfer and value of NFTs, it is creating a liquidity challenge in the market, and also DeFi space faces a similar challenge in the form of millions of staking yield locked to be matured at a future date. What steps are taken by Strip Finance to solve this problem?
So the next version of our product, we aim to build a liquidity easing solution for DeFi. Right now, we're just working towards NFT, but we want to create a market for trading future DeFi staking yield. And that was our actual idea to begin with when we started the project. That's how Strip Finance, the name came into being, because we want to strip the interest from the principle of the DeFi staking and then make it a separate market. So that is, yes, what we plan to do in later future.
Kudos to Team Street Finance. My question is, how will Street Finance enable NFT owners to borrow against their assets as collateral? What are the procedures, and how will the interest rate be calculated?
So Strip, in essence, is a platform where anyone with a desirable NFT can use it as a collateral to borrow money. But the asset pricing data on Strip Finance will always be directly fetched from the NFT marketplaces we are partnering with, integrating with, such as Rarible, Super Rare, WazirX, etc., OpenSea. The lender can propose an interest rate and duration, which, when accepted by the borrower, transfers the NFT to an escrow. The escrow is basically a smart contract of Strip platform. So if the due amount is returned in the stipulated time, the borrower gets the NFT back, and the ownership rights are transferred to the lender. And always the interest rate is proposed by the lender, but the borrower has an option either to accept or reject it.
Will the platform be sorted by categories like music and arts so that we can easily select NFTs to bid? How long is the bidding period? And if there is a limit per day to upload NFTs for bidding?
Sure. So we are mostly sorting in the first version. We are mostly sorting on the basis of asset value, expected time duration of the loan platform. It is fetched from the different platforms that we're partnering with. But as other category NFTs like music, in-game assets, etc. increase, we will include that also in the sorting option. And the bidding period is determined by the borrower as to how long they want it to be. And there's no limit as to how many assets one can upload on a single day.
NFTs are becoming an integral part of crypto's first, and we do have huge volatility. What are the risks that investors will be exposed to for the reward they take, as well as why should the NFT community consider Strip as the go-to platform for capital by staking collateral?
So for borrowers, the risk involve losing the ownership of the NFT in case of a default, but the reward component is always there. If they are able to pay back on time, they have been able to access capital at a very cheap cost without giving up the ownership of the NFT in the first place, without selling it off, and be able to mint other NFTs or use it for trading or anything they want to. And also, about the lender, the risk is always losing the capital, the principal amount which they have committed on the platform. But then in case of a default, they always get the NFT they have committed against, so they have something of value. And again, as the LTV, we always suggest to be capped at 30 to 50% of the assets. So in that case, they have been able to acquire that asset at, let's say, half of the last traded price, so which is kind of a reward for them. And again, also there's an interest component if the loan is paid back on time, so it's a win-win situation for both of them, to say.
What are the benefits of taking part in the project ecosystem? I am an investor. Do you have liquidity mining or single-site staking after launch?
Yeah, so in the pool version, we'll be having liquidity mining program, as well as going forward, we'll be introducing staking options on our platform itself.
Marketing is vital for projects to develop faster and achieve set goals. Do you have a strategy to attract new investors to your platform and keep them long-term?
Sure. So I think the utility value of the project will itself attract many people to it. And we also have launched an ambassador program to engage the community on a larger scale by the name of Strip Squad, where we have a massive reward of 500k Strip tokens up for grabs. And we have been receiving really great response for it. So anyone who's into the community, interested into NFTs, want to talk about it, can happily be a part and rise up the ranks and become an integral part of the community.
What kinds of partnerships with different projects, platforms, protocols can we expect from Strip in the future? Could you give us some examples of how other projects can leverage Strip?
So in the initial versions, we'll be launching on BSC. So one of our partners would be WazirX, that's an NFT marketplace. And then going forward, we'll be integrating with other platforms like OpenSea, etc. And going forward, we'll also make it a cross-installation, so more partnerships with these marketplaces will be announced. And NFT marketplaces can partner with us to provide an additional option of borrowing to their users, as well as upcoming NFT projects can create a secondary market or liquidity market on Strip for their projects. So this is how we bring utility values with them.
Which area are you focusing on at the moment? DeFi, stake, DApps, yield farming, NFTs, or gaming? And what are your goals for this year?
So our first goal is to make the testnet live, which is going live this week, and then the mainnet, and then onboard users and take their feedback and improve upon it. So we'll be starting with the P2P and roll out the pool method after that. And then we'll open the liquidity mining options as well. Trading of future DeFi, staking yield is something which we want to do in the next version, and focus on NFTs for now. That also includes financial NFTs. So Uniswap V3 has LP tokens minted as an NFT, and then debt financing for crypto projects is also something we are looking at.
I understand that the Strip Finance project is relatively new, but with a great mission. Can you tell us about your collaborators? Have they passed all the required audits to provide greater security and reassurance to their investors?
So the platforms are the marketplaces we are integrating to the collaborators like WazirX, OpenSea, which have their smart contracts already open source and in public and being audited by major companies like Certic, PegShield, etc. So these platforms already have users in millions, and they already have had the real world stress testing, etc. So yeah.
Do you think of integrating other blockchain into projects like BSC, Hiko? Any plans for higher coverage?
So we'll initially launching on BSC and then rolling out support for Ethereum soon after. And the other blockchains will be supporting our like Solana, Polygon going forward.
Hacker attacks, fraud due to vulnerability in the smart contracts, high fees, and price volatilities are classic problems a project has to face in the DeFi space. What is Strip's finance strategy to overcome all the risks above on your platform?
So we have taken into consideration every aspect of security since day zero when we started building. So in our team, we have Cyberboy, Sashank, He is one of the top ethical hackers from India. He's worked with all the popular companies in the space. And then also, once the product is ready for the launch, we'll be getting it audited by external parties like Certic and PeckShield, etc. And we'll make the report public.
Tokens from all projects have main utility and practical goals. So can you tell us what is the main role of your token in the ecosystem? What are the real-world utilities and use cases?
So as a platform, we have a revenue component which we derive from as the fees generated on the for the role we play as a facilitator for facilitating the transaction between the borrower and lender. So we charge 1% of the loan amount fee from the borrowers for facilitating the transaction, and in addition, we also charge a 10% fee on the total amount of interest from the lender. So Strip token would function as a native platform utility token used to pay fee for availing these platform services that include but are not limited to commission payment, borrower fee, lender's interest, and a liquidity penalty, etc.
Okay, last question. Where do you expect to see Strip Finance in 2021, 2022, and beyond? In the next 6 to 12 months, what features will you be launching that will make you really stand out from the rest?
So it's the market size of crypto is growing overall, which means the next few years are going to be very exciting. Also, NFTs they are much more than crypto and being a symbol of art and culture. So we haven't seen a single, which I'd say we haven't seen much of the market, audience right now. As more and more sports and pop icons release their NFTs, the market will grow, and Strip as a platform will automatically grow with them. And we have lots of other things coming up in the space. So as I've been mentioning, we'll be launching the pool mechanism, liquidity mining options, financial NFTs, debt financing for projects, etc. So watch out in this space. We'll be doing many more announcements in the coming days.
Thank you so much for answering 20 questions from the community. Now it is your turn to ask our fans 6 questions. Do you have the 6 questions ready?
Yeah, I do.
All right, let's get this started.
Sure. So what are the token utilities for Strip token? What are the platforms Strip supports as of now for NFT collateralization? How price discovery works on the Strip platform? What is the total number of tokens that will be minted? What are the 2 problems that Strip Finance solves? And the final question is, what is the price for the public sale for Strip token?
Awesome session. Thank you for the questions. We hope you guys liked the interview session with Yash. For fans whose questions are selected, please claim your rewards as per instructions in the description box below. And for those who want to participate and win Strip tokens, simply answer the 6 questions that Yash has asked, comment your answers in the comment section below, and we will pick 6 lucky winners. Thank you so much for coming on to our show, Yash. Till the next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Bye-bye!
Thank you for having it. It was great to be here. Have a good day. Bye-bye.